Ain't too much.
Here we go. Talk Radio.
It's a new thing that's sweeping the land. When you don't know which way to go, the answer is Jesus and Elevation Radio.
Oh, God bless you. This is Pastor Steve, Music Man Turner, and we thank you for taking the journey with us. This is the program that spotlights positive people doing positive work while serving a positive God whose name is Jesus, the one and only. Yes, sir. And so if you don't like that, you need to turn the channel right now. Listen, the subject matter today is, am I worthless because I'm wounded? Am I worthless because I'm wounded? I'm trying to catch the ear of somebody who's in pain. Dr. Monica Y. Jackson is my special featured guest, PhD on it, restores joy. Listen, I have discovered that to have empathy for others, you've had to feel pain. There are many causes of wounds, and the healing process can be very tricky. The death of a loved one, the loss of a job, car accident, the verbal abuse of your pastor, oh my God, domestic violence usually causes fear and a reduced quality of life. Until today, we are joined by Dr. Monica Y. Jackson, PhD, and author of the bestseller, watch this, Wounds of Wisdom. Lord have mercy, Wounds of Wisdom. I encourage you to take notes and call if the burden of your wounds is draining your life. It's time to recover your joy. And that number to call is 1-914-205-5353. 1-914-205-5353. But before we get started with the great Dr. Monica Y. Jackson, PhD, we will go to the most beautiful part of this program. It is the lovely First Lady, Leora Turner, with a scripture from Jeremiah 30:17. Read.
Praise God. Amen. Okay. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of the wounds, said the Lord, because they called thee an outcast, saying, this is thine, whom no man seeketh after.
Oh, that's heavy right there. Heavy. Jeremiah 30:17. The Lord will restore. Listen, let me get right into it. Oh, my goodness. Dr. Monica Y. Jackson, how are you?
I am awesome, Pastor Turner. How are you, sir?
I am blessed and highly favored. And my wife is beautiful.
Amen.
So it's okay. It's going to be all right.
And how are you, Miss Leora?
I am doing great. Thank you so much. And what about you?
I am awesome.
All right.
That's what I like to hear.
She said it. All right. Yeah, you got to catch it the first time, Queen. Okay. Now, what state are you calling in from?
I am actually in your state. I am right here in Hardy Grace, Maryland today.
Hardy Grace. Yes.
Is that how you say it? Okay.
That's where all the wealthy folk hang out. That's why I said Hardy Grace. That's why all the wealthy folk hang out. Okay.
Okay. Well, that's where I am today.
Yes, ma'am. I want no trouble.
I am originally from Southern California. I'm just in the state on the East Coast and doing some promotion of the book and visiting friends.
And wow. Okay. And so let me ask you a question. Who is Dr. Monica Y. Jackson, PhD?
Who am I? I am a woman of integrity. I am a woman with confidence. I am a woman who has been through some things. I have learned from those things, and I have found my voice through my wounds, and I have been restored and renewed so I can help restore and renew someone else through my journey as well as my testimony.
My goodness, that's kind of heavy to get started. This is going to be some stuff here. So what made you write the book, Wounds of Wisdom?
What made me write the book? First of all, I'm going to say the book ended up writing me But what inspired me to write this book was losing my 6-figure contract and all of my contracts at the beginning of COVID. I always knew that I had a message to share. However, I was afraid to share it because, like so many people, I suffered in silence because I was too afraid of saying what shouldn't be said. And when I say what shouldn't be said, it's what generationally we've been taught, things not to say, things not to speak against. However, holding those things in will kill you internally, spiritually, mentally, and physically. And so when I physically felt myself dying over a wound that cut me to my core, I didn't have a choice but to write this book. So I believe God set me down 2 days after losing my contract and said, "You write." And I sat in front of a computer for 7 days, for 8 to 10 hours each day, writing, just flooding, just writing and writing. I didn't know what this was going to become. And as I finished, just people started speaking about things and books. And I had people, just read this. And the feedback was so overwhelming. It was almost scary because here I am writing this book at 56 years old at that time, which was almost a year ago, and hearing people 70, 80, 30 with the same experiences, but nobody's talking about it. And so we often feel that as we're going through things, we're the only ones. We are alone in our wounds, and we are silently suffering. And so I hope, and I know that I've been given this torch, this message, this mission, and this movement to unsilence the silence, because it's way too many people hurting unnecessarily and being wounded by family, by friends, by church, the pew and the pastor, the pulpit, marriages, business, children. And I believe that everyone can relate to this, and we have to, sometimes we have to look inside in order to continue to press forward. And that's why I believe that I have been given this message and this movement to write this book.
All right, we love that. Let me check your authenticity, because I have some high scholar listeners, very very picky, and so they said, "I don't know, she's a doctor." What particular wound from family did you have, doctor? Because doctors are not supposed to get hurt because they're high above the rest of the world.
Says who? Now, I want to touch upon that. It does not matter your credentials, the color of your skin, where you live, how you live. You will never be shielded from wounds. You're going to face a wound in life sooner or later, whether you want to talk about it or speak about it or not. So it's going to happen. So the family wound that I sustained, it actually, the one that cut me to my core and caused me to write this book had to do with the church and my family. So it's kind of intertwined there. The issue became that my only child decided to date the pastor's son. And on this journey, within the first week, I didn't recognize my child. I didn't recognize her eyes, her demeanor. Everything about her changed within 3 days, literally. There was no getting through to her. I saw things change in her I've never seen before. Wow. When I confronted her, of course, Mom doesn't know anything. Oh, you just don't like the family. You just don't like this. And begin to distance. Fast forward a little bit. I actually reached out to my pastor at that time and my first lady at that time. I got feedback such as, "You're out of line, Dr. Monica.
Oh.
How about we just allow them to get married? And if it doesn't work out, we just be there for them. And then here, I says, well, no, that's not how it works. First of all, this is not what God is joining together. This is what you're choosing to join together. Go on and move on and have a conversation with the first lady. You just didn't give your daughter the love that she needed.
Oh.
Okay.
What?
Oh, my God.
My first lady, okay? My first lady.
Good God Almighty.
My first lady. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
whether you want this marriage to happen or not, I know what I have to do. And she got up and she sashayed herself right out of a public restaurant where we met. A meeting that I called. They didn't meet with me. I met with them. So let's go back. This was 2016. Okay? Have they reached out to me? Have I spoken to them?
Of course they have.
Okay.
Pastors.
Keep on believing that.
Okay.
Titles mean nothing. We are all people that we can be subjected to the same thing. So you keep moving forward. Well, because Dr. Monica will not align with foolishness, with ungodliness. Dr. Monica say, hey, I share what God is showing me, and everything I see is going to happen, has happened almost to the letter. I have gone to and spoken to them because the son was literally on life support and wasn't expected to live.
Oh, my God.
I go to the hospital because someone calls me and said, your child needs you, not your mother. Excuse me, my mother called me and told me that. Not your daughter, not her name, but your child. At that point, she realized that someone at 23, 24 years old was still a child. But because you could no longer deal with it, now you're going to call mama in to deal with it.
Wow.
So mama sashays herself to the hospital, okay? Go up there praying, Lord, I don't know what I'm going to endure, but this is my child. I'm going to go see about my baby that you gave me. So I get to the hospital. Haven't spoken to anybody in years. Speak to my daughter, ask her who's there. She said his parents. I said, okay, well, you go get his parents, and I'll pray with you guys, and I'll leave. That's nobody but the Holy Spirit. When you can look your enemy in the face and pray for them in their face. Son's on life support. Not the first time, second or third time.
Oh, my God.
Okay? And you're in the hospital, and you're getting all this attitude. But I walked in, and I prayed, and I walked away. And then my pastor walks behind me. Dr. Monica, can I speak to you?
Uh-oh.
You want to talk to Dr. Monica how many years later? When you have
how much trouble were you in?
My child leaving Cleveland. I'm sorry.
How much trouble?
Repeat that.
How much trouble were you in that he wanted to speak to you?
Well, after how many years? This is 3 years later?
Whoa.
So we go and we sit in the lobby of the hotel, and we have a conversation. And I said, you know what? If he's bold enough to have a conversation with me, he's bold enough to get what I need to say.
Uh-oh.
And I was so grateful that I was respectful, but I said everything that I needed to say at that point. And I said I would not be back. That was 2019. I have not heard from anyone. Okay?
Oh, my goodness.
In that time, the son again has kidney failure, all sorts of things. And get this, I heard that she donated a kidney, my child. Who calls me and tells me this? Absolutely no one.
This is heavy.
How did I find out about this? No one tells me. The embarrassment you're getting. It's on Facebook. Somebody said, "What do you think you didn't see it? You didn't see it on Facebook?" Absolutely not. Where is the godliness in this? Your pastor, your first lady. And this is 2016, and we're talking about 2022. Absolutely nothing. Okay? So for 7 days, when this started, I literally felt myself physically dying, literally. On the 7th day, I said, "Lord, if you don't get me out of this bed, I'm dying today." So when someone says they know they die of heartbreak, I know what that feels like. I also know what the hand of God feels like when it pushes you up out of bed and say, "No, this is not your time yet." And you press on and you press forward.
That's an awesome testimony. I want to stop here for a second to get to some deeper stuff here. There are signs of, wounds really evolve into depression and other things. But when you have dealt with depression, you don't want to do anything. You don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to turn the TV on. You want to dim the lights. You don't want to communicate with people. And so, thank God, because that has been something that I dealt with. That thank God He sent friends by. They tricked me now to get me to come out of the house and slam the phone down when they asked me to come out in 20 minutes. And so they want to answer the phone back. That's how you get them. And then they say, "Meet me down Glen Burnie." So I respected them so much, I drove all the way down Glen Burnie, and they said to me, "We're parked the vehicle." So I parked the vehicle, and I was leaning in the SUV to see what they wanted. And so they said, "Well, get in so we can talk to you clearly." They would set me up. And so once they got in there, they closed the door, and they pulled off, and they said, "Here's your lunch. We'll go up. We'll stop and get dinner later. We're going to my husband's job, and then from there we're going to go over some business." I said, "That's all day. I'm not trying to stay out all day. I'm trying to lick my wounds. I'm trying to pick my scab because after a while you get used to the wound." Anybody, what you do when somebody gets used to the wound?
Well, I refuse to get used to my wounds because I wasn't used to living like that. My life has not been a wounded state. And I my advice to people is you have to love yourself to not want to wound yourself. And whatever you must do to pull yourself out of that, you have to almost go into a place. It's nobody but you and God that can help you through this. And I say that because that's all I had. My family turned away from me. Friends turned away from me. I am still probably about 99% estranged from my family because nobody wants to deal with the truth, but they've seen the truth, and you're too prideful now. Friends don't want to deal with it because they've misquoted scripture and misquoted and misstated prophetic words. And so now their pride is wounded. Oh, God is not going to allow this. God told me this. Well, it didn't happen what you said. So did you lie on God or did God lie?
You know,
so people.
I was going to say that when I look at your picture and I listen to you and I see that what God told you about writing, can I do something? Dr. Jackson?
Yes, we have a lot of background static noise.
Okay. I said when I look at your picture and I think about your what God told you to do, start writing, and the fact that you espouse truth, and they said they hate him that corrects in the gate. They don't like correction, they like correction, because that's why I'm outcasted. And in that verse is so fitting. You feel like an outcast. However, you have to be an outcast because I'm about to say now is something I feel that is backed up by God. That you are now a writing prophet.
Wow.
And so you have to be, matter of fact, according to Prophet Rodney S. Walker, if you're not ready to be the most despised, hated, unloved, misunderstood, rejected person on the planet, you can't be God's prophet. And why? Because he has to talk to you, and you can't be distracted by family and friends and situations and circumstances. You got to have your ear.
Yes.
Go on, Dr. Jackson.
Well, he has mine, that's for sure.
Yes, ma'am. What other chapters in your book are noteworthy?
The other, I think they're all more noteworthy. Other chapters are workplace wounds, business wounds, friends wounds, church wounds, children's wounds, family wounds, and marriage and divorce wounds. So there's something for everyone.
Let me see if I can scan it real quick. Now, give me something about the workplace wounds, because being laid off and downsized and fired, and the passcode don't work no more.
Yes, all of the above.
It's embarrassing. I mean, how you deal with all that?
Well, let me share. I've had multiple experiences. I've been up and close with this topic. 1 year I had 5 W-2s when I filed my tax returns. Wow. So I was, okay. The first time it was very devastating. It was very devastating. The second, because it was, you figured you had the experience, your education, you presented yourself well, you worked in excellence, you didn't have any complaints against you, and you lose the job.
Yep.
You continue to go and you still operate this. That's one key thing. Don't change who you are, and don't change operating in excellence, no matter what happens, because that's your character and your integrity that follows you. So the next time it happened, it didn't sting as much, but when it kept happening, I said, okay, I must be doing something wrong in the wrong field. And that propelled me to go and get my master's degree. Usually when I go get for education, it's because something happened. So in the workplace, I just switched gears, go into a different field. But when you have someone walk in to your office and say, we no longer need your services. Why? Because you don't look like them. And I'm talking about my shade or my hue.
Watch yourself now.
Or because I won't submit to wrongdoing.
Woo.
And so sometimes, I had to learn that the source of my provision is God. As all these times that I have been let go, I had no idea what I was going to do. So, people say, well, you have to have multiple streams of income and all of this. Well, I did. I had multiple streams. But when all of those go, we need to understand those are not our sources. And too many rely on those sources.
Oh, my God.
And so when you watch God pay your mortgage, and you sit in the same house 6 years and probably only paid for 1 year, never have a foreclosure notice, no lights ever been turned off, no bill ever late, okay? That's nobody but God. And because man can't do that and man won't do that, I had to learn the source of my contentment and my provision and my peace.
Well, wait a minute, Dr. Jackson. You had family. They gonna help you? Crazy.
I also had to learn that blood is not thicker than water during this process. And sometimes we may have to redefine our family, and it may not be blood, because mine showed me otherwise. So when you have strangers that walk up to you that you've only spoken to 5 minutes and will put $1,600 in your hand because God told them to. When you have somebody leave $500 and a scripture, cash, on an envelope on your front door, you see that God is providing. Strangers.
Yes, that's manna.
So I have learned.
Okay. Let's go to one of the dangerous pieces here, the churchy.
The church.
And now let me say this: there is a congregation of people who are wounded that show up to church every Sunday, but are still wounded, and that is the ministry of music. Musicians. Why are they wounded? Because the pastor talks to you like trash. He thinks he's superior to you. He won't aside. At one church, one church I know, he don't even speak to me. And I've had a few of those experiences. And so they're messing with people's check or money. You promise one thing and then you bait and switch. People are tired of that. So you get bitter. Some folks are just resigning and saying, I leave this industry or this calling because I got to take care of my family.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And it's you and I had a conversation, and I prior to the meeting, this podcast, and you have no idea how that really spoke to me. And I want to speak just a little bit on that because so many times, one of the things I asked you, you were just a pastor, and you mentioned that you basically left being a pastor, and you shared why. And
no. I left the church or closed the church down, but I'm still a pastor because I'm a pastor now on this broadcast. I was told that I preach sermons here.
Correct. Okay. Well, you closed the church down. And I'm saying that because I want to address that. And the reason why is because you put your family first. And a lot of pastors do not. You have a lot of wounded PKs, pastors' kids, where the pastors are taking care of everybody else except for their own family. And if you can't take care of your own family first and foremost, how can you take care of anybody else's? So when you said that, I'm sure a lot of people say, well, you lack faith, you didn't trust God, you didn't pray enough, you don't have, whatever. But that spoke to me because, had you stayed, the wounds that would have been more sustained. You had to do what was best for you. And that's what people don't understand. A lot of times we get so caught up in what we've been taught generationally. That we cannot, taking my word, that we can't even speak or deal with the practical and what's real. And, sometimes people say, walk by faith and not by sight, but sometimes we have to have both. It takes wisdom to do both. And when we continue to think a certain way, it's a form of manipulation. It's a form of control. This is how coaches' behavior start. People think that they have to align and do things. And as you mentioned, the pastor, thinking the pastor is superior, or he thinks he or she is superior. But we're all people.
Do you know how he starts that? I've watched cults and Singing Moon and various other cults. I was watching that yesterday on YouTube. And it is because they say that they had a spiritual experience with God or Jesus. When you weren't there, you don't know anything about it, so you can't refute it. Mm-hmm. And that's how they start with the I'm superior stuff.
Well, but you can have that same experience. So you just because they say it.
God only talks to pastors and bishops and apostles.
Well, that's where the problem starts right there, because he speaks to all of us, and we just have to learn to hear his voice. But if you were never taught that, specifically for me, the way I was raised, if I didn't hear an audible voice, then God wasn't speaking. I grew up that for many, many years. But I had to learn that more recently. God speaks to me very clearly. I just had to turn off what I had been taught. And again, people say that so they feel more godly, more superior, more connected, or more holier than you.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to, first and foremost, and I'll say this, and it's not nice to say, and I know it's not nice to say, but it is my reality.
Wait a minute. I got you. Ring the bell. Okay, go ahead. It's on.
Okay. See, you're messing up my train of thought now. I want to, I say this because I know that other people think it and will never say it. But I don't regret a lot of things in life. But one thing I truly regret is stepping foot into a church. I do because I stepped in naive. I stepped in not knowing. I stepped in trusting unconditionally. And when you do that and you haven't equipped your children, they get caught up in things, and now they have to unwind their wounds and heal those wounds. So a lot of us who've grown up in the church, we see things and we know better. But because that's the man of God, because you don't speak against the church, because you don't do these things, you keep silent. But who is that hurting? That's hurting you. That's not hurting anyone else. And so the more I speak, I hear the same sentiments from others. Oh, I'm so glad you wrote this book because I felt like I was the only one. I can live now. I had someone tell me that when they read the book, they were in the midst of, they wanted to take their life, and the book encouraged them not to do so.
That's what we're talking about.
So I can understand, when someone tells you to sit silently and you're a child and you're not supposed to be heard. It's just the woundingness of it. And a lot of things people say, well, people meant well. They had good intentions. Intentions don't mean a thing because intentions can have wrong outcomes. So sometimes we extend people more grace than we should. And we need to understand that God has given us intuition. Mm-hmm. He's given us guts to think. He's given us a mind to think. And we have to develop our ability to think and tune in and listen to God speak to us. And when something doesn't feel right, let it not feel right, and you be cautious. Don't continue doing the same thing.
One of the things we've continued to do is when wounded people are wounded for too long, they get into mourning, which is terrible. And so, but what I'm talking about now is people who are nice. They've been wounded, and they've been wounded by certain friends and family and church members, and they just continue to forgive because Jesus Christ said forgive. So he also cursed trees that didn't produce. He also called the religious leaders vipers because they were snakes. You got to call it what it is. You had to be able to discern it. So I suggest, maybe because I'm hanging around Dr. Monica Jackson, I'm thinking I'm getting a little educated. Take a piece of paper and write down the name of the person, underline it, big in your life is causing the most problems, and then write down all the things that they've done in terms of the last maybe year, and then write the positive things they've done. And if your positive is too short and you got a bunch of negative, then you know what to do. And that's to free up your time so you can get more time to God, because they're wasting your time, which is and my demonettes and all that ghouls will waste your time to get you, distract you from serving God.
Correct. And one thing, even with forgiveness, you're talking about forgiveness, but what people don't understand, forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean reunification either. It means just releasing that. because it doesn't mean that's going to be restoration of that relationship. That season may be up. And sometimes we have to accept that, whether that's family, whether that's friends, and it's a hard pill to swallow. Don't get me wrong, but again, the source for me is, I tell people, if it disturbs my peace, it has to flee. I don't care what it is or who it is. So I am responsible for my peace, and I guard it at all costs.
Lord,
all costs.
You've said a major thing here. Matter of fact, that's a scripture that says, above all things, have peace with all men. And if someone is bringing you drama and nonsense and foolishness every time they talk to them, and when you leave, the house is disturbed, you're arguing among yourselves, then it's time for them to be cut off. Let me go to, I do have a co-host here. She's very pretty. So let me go to the First Lady, the Queen. What question do you have for Dr. Monica Y. Jackson?
Hello, Queen.
Uh-oh.
Queen's on mute.
Is she on mute?
Queen on mute?
Well, let me go. When you hear this, well, when you hear it, sweetheart, then just chime back in. Listen, I want to say, how can folks get your book? Because I'm sure there's some folks, women. It's only for women, right?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Actually, it's for men and women, and I'm going to even go further. I encourage young adults to read the book, and because sometimes if you learn some things earlier in life, maybe you can head some things off. Because a lot of our young people think they know it all. They think that others lack wisdom, but you may read something that you have personally experienced in this book that you can relate to, that can help you avoid the certain wounds. You heard me speaking about my daughter. Sometimes we know things and we sense things better than you can. And so it's important to try to avoid some of the same wounds that we have gone through. And so if you want to get the book, you can go to drmonicajackson.com. And for those men who think the book is not for them, look on there. There is a testimony from a man that read this book that's powerful. So follow his lead and tell another man. Because when men heal, men can heal our families. You're to take the head and be the head of the household and take care of our families so that we can have healthier families, healthier children, healthier women, and work together. So get the book at drmonicajackson.com. Wow.
Okay. Let me throw something out here to you, which might turn your eyebrow up. There's another type of pain, another type of wound that we don't talk about because they say women have rights, and there's bills to actually reduce the age of abortions to 12 and 13 without the parents' approval or grandparents' approval. And so I said, what are you trying to do, tear up the family? And yeah, exactly. And so, but until you've experienced this, until you have found, I may have to start using my preacher voice, when you have found out that the woman that you were seeing became pregnant by you, oh Lord. So, and then you wonder, well, where is the child? And then she'll say, I had an abortion. And no one, because it happened to me. And I said, years ago, and I said, you didn't think enough of me to call me and tell me about it. Matter of fact, if you didn't want the child, give it to me, I'll raise it. But who made you boss where you can make a decision like this when you couldn't even have children by yourself? You harvest the child. The man who produced it. Come on now, let's just talk truth. Somebody ain't gonna like this, but it's real. So I don't think that they should have, because really it means that you can go and do sin, you can fornicate, you can have adultery, and there's no penalty. You'll wipe it away. But God said, don't do it. So you're trying to forget God. But it's a woman, a man who's experienced this. How does he get over that?
How does a man get over that?
Yeah.
Is that what? Well, I'm not a man. However, it's
by your book. I'm saying by reading your book. What chapter?
By reading the book.
What chapter would work for me?
I'm going to say, because let's follow family wounds. I'm going to say that's family wounds, because although the child is not here yet, that it's part of him, and so sometimes, first of all, you can't do anything about the past. That's first and foremost. If that child at 12 has already had that abortion, and the young man who's impregnated her is hurt by it, he has to deal with his wounds. He has to learn to control what he can control. You can't control the past, so you have to control your response to the situation. Yes, it hurts, and yes, it happened. But again, you have no control over what she did, what her parents allowed her to do. All you have to do is look at yourself, make sure, one, you don't repeat that same mistake. Two, there is wisdom in every wound. What did you learn from that? How do you use that experience to help someone else?
Incredible.
Don't sit silent. Don't be embarrassed by it, because it happens not to just you, but it happens to several people.
Okay, got another one for you. Someone that doesn't really talk a lot, and that is the pain and the wounds. Yeah, because I'm having a flashback of paying child support. Very embarrassing. Very embarrassing when you're in a court and the jury is all women and the judges are a woman, the lawyer is a woman. They're looking at you. I paid all this child. Yeah. And so you give her the budget, and she looks at it and say, "Well, you'll be able to pay so and so." But no, just really look at the budget. I can't afford that. The child didn't have to be here. So you got a 24-year odyssey, and if they get to want to go to college before it ends, then you got 4 more years tacked onto you. You can lose your license. You can be thrown in jail. That's painful. It's wounding. Can't believe the woman that I loved did it to me. Why? Why, Lord? Help me, doctor.
What? Well, but that wasn't here, what you said, you questioned God. God didn't tell that person to lay up and have that child.
Oh, wait a minute.
We had a choice to do those things. That's first and foremost. So we have to be accountable for our situation. Being accountable, we have to accept the consequences that come along with that, good, bad, or indifferent. It's not. Some of the things may not be fair. It may not be right. However, that's the consequences of sinning. The system is not necessarily fair.
Nope.
It's not necessarily right. There may not be any justice.
Nope.
However, because of our choices, there are consequences, and we have to live with those.
Okay.
And that's what we have to do, accept accountability and try to live in the confinement of the reality, our new reality.
I didn't mean to get my big toe slammed in the door. It's the consequences. I sound like my mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got anything you want to ask now?
Now look on
Queen?
the flip side.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Queen?
Look on the flip side of that. Is she on yet?
I'm just listening. I'm being encouraged.
Oh, you've been encouraged. Well, hold a second. You're encouraging my queen. This is good stuff.
Hey.
Watch yourself.
Good.
All right. If you're encouraged by Dr. Monica Y. Jackson, who should be on a speaking tour and doing book signings and things of this nature, call her at 1914-205-5353, 1914-205-5353. This book is hot. It's a bestseller. It's a fantastic read. You'll learn some stuff. Hopefully, especially for the young men, maybe they wouldn't be shooting and killing people if they had this book in their hand, because there's too many murders down here. So they need to be healed. And so when I talk to some, they say, well, we don't have no fathers, so who's going to do that? So the absence of the father in the home causes pain, and if the mother is absent because of trifleness or drugs, it causes pain to the children. and they are raised with wounds. And I always say, if you don't get the wound fixed early, you're going to grow into a pretty monster, an adult monster.
Correct.
That's what we have here.
You're absolutely right. And just to share a little bit more, I'm a product of a divorced family. Wasn't raised with my father. In fact, I don't know my biological father. But however, never met him. Well, spoke to him maybe once after I discovered that my stepdad was not my father. That's a whole nother story. And so you learned, you know what? I always figured you have to learn to navigate through your pain. And it's a choice, because you choose your happiness and your joy in your life that you need. Whatever you need to get help, to be whole, is what you need for you. It may not be what somebody else needs, but you have to do what's best for you. Now, a lot of people have opinions and input. And they may have good intentions, but again, it may not work for you. That's why sometimes you have to get alone, be alone, and discover what's important to you, and ask God, help me to understand. And for God, not for man, because man will fail you oftentimes. Oftentimes. And when you're alone, listen.
It's found. I was born alone because I'm an only child, but I found that when you get in trouble and you get sick enough, my last hospital stay 17 days, I was alone. Okay, the only thing sustaining I had was my prayers, and I had my Bible, and my wife on the phone. But I was alone. I said, Lord, I've helped a lot of people. Is this all I got? I ain't got nobody to see me. And so, but remember, your identity is your destiny. So you prophet, then you have to do that and be alone, so God can talk to you. We got a caller here. Okay. Alrighty. Welcome to Elevation Radio 1. How can we help you?
No, I can't be helped, but I was just calling to listen in. How you doing?
Oh, my
Dave
God.
Murphy here.
Oh, my God. This is, hold on a second, Dr. Jackson. This is Sir Dave Murphy. I think he's been knighted by the Queen of England. And he is the publisher of that great magazine called the National Black Unity News, which is all over America.
Okay.
And I'll talk to you about that later. But he is a publisher par excellence. And so I adopted him as one of my community uncles. And so I appreciate you calling, sir. Anything special you want to say? Or?
No, I just want to say to the doctor, I just came in at the, just shortly, though. But based on what she was speaking about, it's such a powerful subject. It's such a needed subject right now that people need to, adhere to, because a lot of people are suffering, hurting, don't know what their tomorrow is going to be like. And I just thank God for people like her to take time not only to acknowledge, what people are going through, but even to write about, to pen it, put it in words, from her experiences and expertise. So I just say kudos to your guests and to you as well, sir.
Well, thank you. Don't forget my queen now. Don't forget my queen.
Oh, no, well, she comes first. Without her, there is no you.
Oh, you see what Dr. Jackson said, he traded sides so quickly.
Yeah, hey, that's right. He know what he's supposed to do. He did the right thing.
Lord have mercy. Let me go to commercial.
You outnumbered. Sorry.
let me go to commercial real fast here.
Okay.
Listen, this program is sponsored by Paris by A7, finest men clothier in Ricerstown Plaza. If you ask me why I get the suits from and the side pieces, this is where I get it from. Talk to Marilyn, the manager, or Jeff, the owner, and tell him that the Music Man sent you over there and get the Music Man discount. Oh my God, it's exciting. And so I want to also talk and let you know that next week we'll have another community uncle, Uncle Bill Gooden. That's what I just said, Uncle Bill Gooden. You've seen him on Fox 45 telling the mayor, open the city back up for the citizens. Who do you think you are? The people are in be here next Saturday, and that's fantastic. We want to give a shout out to our special guest, Dr. Monica Y. Jackson. Go get the book. Get the. Did you hear what I just said? Go get the book, Wounds of Wisdom. So you can learn something. Stop being upset. Put the gun down. Yeah. Okay, grow up. Like that. And so we want to also talk about Sleeper Baseball. Running for the candidates for the position. We'll be having a rally at 11 a.m. to 12:30. You need to be there at Circuit Court. So you all know where it is because you've been there. Well, and so get there. They're rallying against the government, mayor, and city council using our children in the education system, and against abortion for 12-year-olds without the parents' consent. Oh my God, this is upsetting. This is something. Can we put God first? Can anybody love God enough to do the right thing? Well, listen, I got to go. But I want to tell you, if you want to organize, you call the on-call organist at 1-410-302-2737. 1-410-302-2737. Go to the website, call the on-call organist.info. Call the on-call organist.info or email me at calltheoncallorganist@gmail.com. We're stepping in the 22nd century, baby. Oh, it's awesome. Come on, clap your hands. Woo! All right, a shout out to Dr. Bert Cross from the DWGN who wrote that song. It's fantastic. I've adopted it for my commercial music bed. And so let's go back to. Okay, we've got 7 minutes left. So let's go back to Dr. Monica Y. Jackson. Do you have anything special you want to say as we go to close?
You know, I just want to encourage those that are going through anything. Understand that whatever you're going through, whatever wounds that you are experiencing or may experience, those wounds are temporary setbacks for a powerful comeback. Look for wisdom in every one of those wounds. Look, just pay attention and see, what can I learn from this? What is this pushing me towards? What can I become? Who can I help? Because that would help you take the focus off of the wounds and allow you to move forward. And
so, you know, now I've had a wound. It's great advice, Dr. Jackson. I've had a wound. There's nothing like a wound like a boil. I've had one years ago, messed up my whole existence, and I had to learn to, you know, if I was on the left side, I had to move to the right side and do everything. If you got a toothache, which I had on the left side, you got to eat on the right side. And so I'm just saying, wherever it is, you got to switch sides. And so don't do the same thing you've been doing, because that's the definition of insanity. You want something different, do something better. And if you say do something better, let's just say you need to get on your knees. I mean, it's something to do. Some people haven't done it. And talk to God. Have him, pray to him. You don't care what you're saying in terms of, you don't have to be eloquently right like a bishop or an apostle. It's just talk from your heart. Even if you have to grunt, get it out. Get the pain out. Man, get it out. Woman, you can't live like it. And so, because hurt people. And that's absolutely. Now, I was hurt myself, Dr. Jackson, as we go to close. I was hurt by my wife. Yes, I'm being transparent. My wife, Sir David Murphy, my wife hurt me. She hurt me because when we first got married, she would give me hugs without me asking. But now, for some reason, I don't know why it is, after 16 years, I got to ask and beg and plead, and it's got to be on a schedule or something like that. And I'm like, why? I mean, don't you still love me? You're king? What is going on here? Okay, so the jury and the court are listening to the defendant, the queen. What you got to say about it?
What do I have to say about the queen not hugging the king?
No, I'm asking the queen, who's very quiet. And so, is there a reason why you're quiet? Well, in my law enforcement background, if you're quiet, you're guilty. So, but it can be rectified, as according to your book, because all I have to do is turn on the other side and sweet talk her, and then probably I had to take the hug. That's what I got to do. Take the hug. I got to go caveman style and just take it. And after 10 years, you qualify. I don't care. After 10 years, you qualify.
Get in trouble.
I live on the edge. Tell us how they refer to it. So,
and he sitting there and wonder why.
Wait a minute. Can anybody? Okay, I'm being ganged up on here. Can anybody call and help the music man at 1-914-205-5353? My wife and my uncle are turning against me. My special guest, who was referred by Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr., the medium. Okay, and so he referred Dr. He said, I got something for your show. I'm like, who is it? He said, Dr. Monica White Jackson. I said, okay. And then he connected us. I tell you, this is awesome. How much is the book, if may I ask?
The book is, in the United States, it is $19.99. In Canada, it's $29.99.
Okay. Well, let me say that my wife will buy a book.
Okay.
She got all the money.
Okay.
All wives have all the money. She's mighty quiet. I don't know.
Is that true? Is that true, Miss Queen?
She's not saying anything.
You turned her mic. Did you turn her mic off?
No, I did not. I think she's
okay,
being.
I'm just checking.
Oh, wait a minute. There's a word there. I think she's being insubordinate, and so I've got to put my right foot down through the floor and get this situation straight. Every now and then. Hold a second. Yeah, are you married, aren't you, Sir David Murphy?
What was that again?
I said, you're married, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Okay, how many years?
I forgot. I count probably about 35, 40.
Whew. Lord have mercy. I don't know how you do it. Anyway, let me just say that maybe you can get in trouble, Dr. Jackson. But every now
you gonna get in trouble. I'm letting you get in trouble because you gonna really get in trouble.
Hold on, let me go down south here for a second. Every now and then, you got to put your foot down to get the situation that you want in your home, because a man's home is his castle. Yeah, and as I say, I'm the king. I actually wear a medallion that has a crown on it. Matter of fact, that's what my name means, Stephen. Crowned one. So I am a king. I worry about it. Not afraid. And so, because if anything happens to me, I'll go live with David Murphy.
Like I said, you're going to get in trouble. That's all when I get the news, I'm going to understand why you got in trouble.
See, I'll post a picture on Facebook. He got black eye. He got a knot on the forehead. But he said he's living with David Murphy.
You had already said the message you're going to turn one cheek because the others are already spoken for. Keep it up.
This gross betrayal is not good.
No, brother. You know I have much love and respect for you, but you have to listen to wise counsel sometimes.
Oh. Before I have
wisdom.
Wisdom. I mean, you may have to FedEx your book over here. I'll hold it up. Say, please don't hit me anymore. Let me live, please. God bless you. Now, she looks quiet, Dr. Jackson, when you see her. She looks quiet, but she's a New York gangster. That's what she is.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Like I said, you're going to get in trouble. Keep on talking.
Okay. Well, I've got 10 seconds to say that, listen, we're having a little levity here, a little humor, because you have to laugh sometimes to keep from crying. But when you do a lot of pain, a lot of experiences, you wonder, why me, Lord? Why me? It's because God is trying to train you and trying to teach you, trying to purify you, so that you can do greater things. Greater works than these shall you do. And so when you have your mind focused and not distracted, because pain will isolate you. And so just don't grab the Hennessy bottle. Don't grab crack cocaine. Ain't doing nothing for you. Don't grab no alcohol. Grab the Bible, because that's the book for me and you. Okay, and reading that. And if you don't understand that, call a pastor like me at 1-410-302-2737. We'll talk to you. We'll explain it to you, and we'll pray for you. And that's a good thing. So, any last words, Dr. Jackson, as we go out?
No, I just be encouraged, stay encouraged. Like I said, wounds are temporary, so just press through them, move forward, and learn to love yourself and know yourself.
That's heavy. All right. Well, it's been real. It's been another Elevation Radio 1 moment, but don't forget that next week we'll have, God bless you, Uncle Bill Gooden, the People's Champion, talking about the rights of the citizens of Baltimore. And if you can take that information, you can apply it to your situation, your state, your town. All right. We love you. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.